Good morning, AlgoTrades investors. It is Monday, March the 23rd. Taking a look at the charts, we've got the AlgoTrades system overlaid on the SP 500. This is the 30-minute chart zooming back a couple of weeks. And I've got a couple extra things drawn on the chart here this week. We've got this upper indicator, which is the NYSE down volume divided by the up volume. It gives us a ratio of if there's a big surge of sellers versus buyers. And of course, we've got this other one here, which is the up volume divided by down volume, just the ratios flipped. It tells us when there's a strong wave of buying. So I've also added this key pivot zone. This is a blue line I drew on here a while back. We saw price run up here, and after we started to see price kind of momentum slowly start to stall out and bounce off here. I put this line in as it was forming. You could argue a little mini head and shoulders formation. Got a little shoulder, you've got a head. You could argue this was a shoulder. And of course, we cut through that level and then had a little bit of a rebound, a bear flag, and we went into bearish price action over here. In the trend, more or less, momentum, everything turned down. And we've been in a downtrend kind of ever since, but it's been recovering. Now, because we are in an overall long-term bull market, these down markets, these short-term downtrends usually are short-lived, and they usually recover and go back into an uptrend. So what we're looking at here is last week we went from a bearish price action where we had a series of bear flags and continued unwinding of long positions, lots of selling. We saw pop and then very strong drops again. And then we flipped into a more of a bullish pattern where we saw strong impulse wave to the upside, a bull flag, a consolidation, more or less. Usually when you see a bull flag, it's the halfway mark. Of course, we saw that second half of that move with the Fed news. And then we saw a 50% retracement from this low to the high. And then from there, we saw another impulse wave to the upside, giving us some upward momentum. And of course, we also broke some minor pivot lows. So we had a previous pivot low right over here, which we broke on this first impulse wave. And then we had this other pivot high over here, which was broken with the Fed news. So we broke two previous pivot highs. And of course, we went from bear flag formations over here and panic selling to strong bull flag formation with 100% measured move reached. And then we've seen a pullback, and we saw the second half of this move start to get reached again as of Friday. So overall, the trend is flipping to the upside. We got some upward momentum, and of course, we've got a couple other key things kind of playing here. Now, this indicator here, this red one, this goes to show we've seen big money slowly rotating into the market. We've seen large waves of buying, and of course, on Friday, we saw almost up to 10 buyers to every one seller. And that's a good sign that money is really flowing into the market. Now, after we had that Fed news, that big pop in price, the previous session, we saw some really strong selling. We saw around 5-to-1 sellers. So there's 5 people hitting the sell button, more or less, on the NYSE to every 1 person hitting the buy button. And the market only faded back about just about halfway of this move, and it continued. That selling happened for most of the session. The price really held up well. So there's a lot of accumulation going on here. Some big money was buying into positions, and then of course we saw some of that that momentum continue into Friday's move. So overall, we saw this. I pointed this out in a recent video how the small cap stocks have been performing extremely well, and they're kind of leading the way up. So we've got a situation where on Friday we had a couple of interesting things happen to unfold for a short-term momentum play to the long side for the system. We did get long on Friday just before the close with small cap stocks and the volume ratios. Everything was in favor, bullish price action, cycle analysis. Everything was giving us this momentum play, which is the first one we've had since we started running the system live last year. And of course, it's very similar. If we just zoom back to this recent price action where we had similar price action but not the full setup. More or less, we had bearish price action over here. We had some really strong panic selling, and then finally we saw the ramp up of strong buying, and this is what we wanted to see. And we saw the buying move up. We saw these orange candles, very similar to what we started to see there on Friday. The only difference was we haven't had any bullish price action. The cycle analysis isn't lining up for a continued move higher. So overall, we still had a nice move here, but we didn't end up getting a trade for a momentum thrust here, simply because we didn't have a series of, from here we went a series of bearish action where we had bear flag after bear flag, and then of course we had volatility and some real big volume spikes of fear, and then we flip to the upside with bullish price action. So we don't have any bullish price action here. All we had was a pop into resistance, and then the market kind of just ground its way higher and muscled its way up, and so we didn't really have an impulse type setup that we have here. Now, I do need to be clear, when we get these impulse waves, we can see some pretty good volatility at times, and I wouldn't be surprised because the market closed up near some previous pivot highs here. I wouldn't be surprised. We could easily see this consolidate a little bit more and form a larger bull flag, and we could use that as a measured move. If we just take the Fibonacci here extension, this is the type of play where we get a much larger bull flag where it comes up. This would be the high, and we'd see it flag somewhere down into around the 50 or 38% retracement. And of course, we just squish this price down. And I'll draw on here for a visual. We could see price possibly consolidate and work itself down to this level here. And then of course we could see the second half of that move, that measured move, go to the upside. So we had the first wave here, and it looks as though we're at a level here where the momentum, everything is shifting to the upside. We've got money flowing into small cap stocks. We've got lots of big money flowing into equities. We see the bull flag, a larger bull flag, and then we see the second half of the move with the 2146 area. So overall, if we do start to see it rally even today, if it starts to just pick up and continues to go, the first key level of resistance is going to be the 2119 area, and then of course we could easily see it pause and consolidate there if it does rally up to there, and then we could see the second half of that move go all the way up to the 2146 area. So that's what we're looking at, and that's the type of analysis the system has right now. So that's it for this week. Take care. Bye-bye.